So we're going to really dive into dopamine and discipline. So when I graduated from Carolina, I moved back to Oklahoma, and I was a lobbyist in Oklahoma, and absolutely a fabulous life. And a friend of mine called me from Carolina and said, "Hey, Chanel, we have a family condo in Cancun, and I want you to come with me because I'm going through Dallas. If it's easy, just come with me for the weekend. Let's check it out and see what's going on." The answer is yes, it's Cancun, of course. And so went down there with him, wrapped everything up that we needed to do work on the condo. And he said, "Well, we've got some extra time. Why don't we go ahead and do an open dive and scuba dive?" And I said, "Well, Ken, I can't. I don't have my scuba certification." He's like, "I've got a guy for that. Don't worry about it." So he did have a guy for that. His name was Jorge, and Jorge Patty scuba certified me in a pool. And so he literally scuba certified me in the pool. And then we went out that afternoon and did an open dive. Now, what Ken and Jorge and everyone with us didn't know is that I am absolutely petrified of the ocean. Petrified. I'm absolutely petrified of the ocean. I'm petrified of Jaws. Anybody who grew up in the 70s knows exactly what I'm talking about. Jaws is a real thing. It's a real fear. So I said, okay, we're going to do it. Went out for the first dive. It took me a little bit, went underneath, and it was transformative for me because not only did we have a world above, now there's this whole world below. It was absolutely amazing. So we weren't flying out till the next afternoon. And I said, "Hey, this is my new jam now, right?" I actually overcame my fear. I did this. I said, "Let's go in the morning. Let's do one more dive." He's like, "All right." So we went out early in the morning. Now I'm cocky. I'm confident. I dive right in, right? And nobody else dives in. And I look up the boat and I'm like, "Come on, guys, come on." Ken's like, "Chanel, make as little movement as possible. And we'll be there in just a second." I'm like, "Guys, it's really, really not that cold. We're in Cancun. Just dive right in." He said, "Chanel, stop talking and stop making any movement at all." And I looked over my shoulder to where they were looking, and I saw a fin about this big out of the water about 50 feet away from me. I can barely even talk about it now. Like my heart is jumping out of my chest right now. And I realized at that point that I was about to die. That was it. My biggest fear had totally come to fruition. 100% come to fruition, and I'm not going to live. And so I keep thinking, what do I do? Do I actually go toward this shark as quickly as possible and I hit him right in the nose? Do I actually try to make it to the boat? I have no idea what to do. And what ended up happening is that Jorge, my savior, my teacher, my instructor, took the boat around and cut him off in enough time to where it was a tiger shark. It was still probably, they say 7 feet. In my mind, it was 20 feet long. And I was okay. But I share that story with you, firstly, because experiences that you have in life, they create memories, and memories in your life create, whether consciously or subconsciously, actions that you have. So what I want us to try to do during this time is to shift our focus from dopamine to discipline. And by doing that, it's going to not only transform your business, but it's going to transform your life. So a lot of you know a lot about me, but I'm just going to dive into a couple of things. The first is that I'm a small town girl. I'm from Pauls Valley, literally population not even 5,000 people ever since its inception. And that's just the way it is. I graduated with 130 people in my high school class and still didn't graduate in the top 10%. I don't think I graduated in the top 30%. And I share that with you because I was not someone who wanted to accomplish something my whole life. When you start seeing people who are at the very top of their game in production, you assume that they were always like that. I wasn't. So literally 130 people in my class, and I still didn't reach literally top 25% at that time. Base jumped off a mountain in Brazil. You know that I'm scuba certified, right? When I was in Mexico. And I have a massive conspiracy theory that the Department of Agriculture has taken from corn as a fruit and made it into corn as a vegetable. Is anybody with me on this? Corn is not really a vegetable. 100% it's a fruit. And also, I avoid red M&Ms at any and all cost, guys. I'm telling you, if you eat red M&Ms in a large quantity over any period of time, I just know some sort of abnormal growth is going to happen somewhere in your body, inside or outside. So big tip for you today is do not eat the red M&Ms no matter what. I'm not even kidding. But more so, I'm a mom to 3 beautiful boys. I'm a wife to forever husband. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend, and I'm a realtor. So we all wear a lot of hats, right? We all have to do a lot of things every single day. So my past life in Miami, I was an actor. I was not a theater actor. No, I was a commercial actor. So that meant that I shot a lot of national commercials. I was in Royal Caribbean, in Crest, and Coca-Cola. And I learned 2 very, very big lessons when I was an actor. And one of them is that I'm a rare oyster in Miami. That's what I found out very early on. I'm a rare oyster, and that I found my niche, as all of us should in any industry that we're a part of. That's super important. So I was not a 6-foot tall, 90-pound Eastern European bombshell. That is not who I was. If you go into South Beach, that is all you see. Walk down anywhere, they're in any cafe, they're in all the restaurants, they're everywhere. Now, an average height, average weight, Midwestern girl next door is very rare in Miami. So when I stopped going to the 6-foot, 90-pound Eastern European bombshell auditions, and I actually went to the auditions that matched who I was authentically and how God made me, that's when I started rolling with my business. When you find that niche that you're very, very good at, or something that not a lot of people do, I'm telling you, you all have got to dive in, because that's when your business grows. Another thing is lean into who you are. I want you to lean into who you are. If you naturally lean into who you are, and instead of trying to be somebody else, when you find your authentic self, that's when everything starts aligning for you with success and with business, because people love authenticity more than they love anything else in the world. That is a fact. So when my agent Cindy would call me and the phone would ring, I loved it. It made me so happy. Her ringtone was actually a doorbell. Ding dong, ding dong. I don't know if you all have that one or if you remember it. Every single time, because it meant that opportunity was knocking. Every single time it went off, that meant opportunity was knocking. It meant that either I got a great audition, I booked a job, maybe I already had a job and there was another buyout. When that doorbell went off on my phone, it meant money in the bank for me, which at that time was survival. That means I could survive. I could pay my bills. I could take care of my son. I was a single parent. I could do all those things. But having a job like that, living gig to gig, transaction to transaction, is a very hard way to live. So Forever Husband and I decided this is too much. This is too much. We can't live and be a part of an industry that is really unstable. So we're going to get out of the acting world. We're going to pack up. We're going to move our family to Chapel Hill, and we're going to join a very stable industry called real estate. Right? That's what we're going to do. This is going to be great. So it was so funny. I realized during all of this that I actually had created a conditioned response when the phone would ring with my agent. It didn't matter when that doorbell went off on my phone, I picked it up. I classically conditioned myself, just like Pavlov's theory. This is what I had done. Every single time it rang, I didn't care if I was going to the bathroom, I was in the shower, if I was middle in dinner, if I was on the phone with one of my parents, I would literally hang up whatever I was doing and I would pick it up. Because that's how I conditioned myself, that was what was most important in my life. Well, one of the very best things that happened when I moved to Chapel Hill is that I met my best friend. She is a doctor of neuroscience. And so what she does is that she helps thousands of people across the world, not even the country, the world. And she really helps them overcome their addictions by helping them with neurofeedback. So the first question I had for her when I met her is, what's neurofeedback? She said, well, Chanel, it's a form of biofeedback that encourages the brain to develop healthier patterns of activity. I'm like, great. Okay. I don't get that at all, but okay. What are these people addicted to? I didn't understand. And she said, well, they're trying to escape reality. They're not happy with where they are right now, or they had past trauma they haven't dealt with. And so they start diving into things that help them escape their reality. And then she looked right at me and she said, you know, Chanel, you could really benefit from neurofeedback. Excuse you? I don't have any addictions. And she started laughing and she said, yes, you do. Oh my gosh, you're a real estate agent. You're completely addicted to dopamine hits. And I had no idea what she was talking about, but I was really offended. And I said, what are you talking about? What are dopamine hits? And she said, well, dopamine is this neurotransmitter. Your body actually creates all of it. And then your nervous system uses it and sends all these messages through your nerve cells. It just makes you feel good. And so when I dove into it a little bit more, because Google has all the answers, I realized that all of us as humans actually take part in some sort of dopamine activity. So, whether it's we exercise because it makes us feel good, or we have music that we listen to, right? Or we laugh. So anytime we go to a comedy show or we go to a sporting event, anything that elevates our sense of day-to-day activity, those are natural dopamine hits. We go shopping, we do meditation to calm our mind. Any of things changing up is really dopamine for us. But there's one part of dopamine that I realized is actually very unhealthy for us, and we all take part of it in a lot of ways. And I want you to look at that 15% at the very bottom of the screen. That has to do with social media. So all the platforms that were created for social media, they actually use the science of dopamine hits behind it. Did you know that? We're all guinea pigs. So I've been on, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes now. I wonder how many of you have looked at your phones during that time. Or I actually have said, wow, I wonder if any of you have looked at your phones. Now you're wondering, wow, should I really be looking at my phone right now? Should I look at my phone? It's been a while since I looked at my phone. It's because we are ingrained to constantly look at our phones to get our dopamine hits. This is how we function. This is what we do. And I realized when I looked back over the last year, because obviously your phone also tracks how long you're on social media, that on average, I was spending about 2 hours a day on social media. Not all at once, right? In the morning when I got up, in between meetings, when I picked up my sons from school, afterwards, before I went to bed, I was averaging about 2 hours a day. That's no big deal. Yes, it is a big deal, guys. It's a very big deal, because 2 hours a day means 14 hours a week. It means 56 hours a month. It means 692 hours a year. I literally bawled my eyes out when I saw that. That means that a month and a half of my life just went to something that means absolutely nothing. I just gave a month and a half away. How many days are you giving away? How many days are you never going to get back with your family, building your business, actual mindful activity that you're building something or doing something that you want to do? Look, just take a look in your phone, not now, if you can help it, and see what you're giving away. So I was really, really ticked about that. And so I really started creating things that stop me from giving my time away. Have you heard anybody say ever, I just don't have enough time. Austin, I don't have enough time to do that. There's not enough time in the day. Ask them how much time they spend on social media. I guarantee you it's a lot more than they even realize. And it's the same for you. So if you do anything today, what I want you to do is I want you to put a time limit on the amount of screen time you have in social media. It is painful, my friends. It is painful. But do it, because it will change your life forever. So I started really thinking after my bestie told me about this, that I'm a real estate agent. I'm addicted to dopamine hits. How many dopamine hits are actually in our industry right now? I just want you to take a look at this. And this is just a few of them, guys. When we get a new client, when we're showing a buyer homes, when we get an offer accepted, we have multiple offer situation, when we go live, when we're under contract, when we close, when we get paid, hit, 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 hit. It feels so good, right? I love it. A lead just came in before I got on. I'm like, right? It's just a dopamine hit. It makes me feel so good. But with that is also the other side, right? When we don't get the offer accepted, when buyers choose somebody else, when you go on the listing presentation and they go with somebody else, when your contract falls out. We're not regulated enough in our day-to-day life. So what happens is that we're on this roller coaster called real estate, where we're constantly looking for all the hits every single day. And if we don't get those hits, we feel like we're failures. If we don't get those hits, then we're not succeeding. If we don't get those hits, we don't feel good about ourselves. That's a problem. That is a problem. So it's very interesting when I looked into this, because I actually realized something very, very inherent, is that all of us are driven by desire. We're all driven by our basic want, and all of our basic wants are similar but different. My basic want, I'll be very candid with you, is acknowledgement. I want to be acknowledged. I want someone to acknowledge me. That helps me feel better about myself. It makes me feel worthy. It makes me feel seen. Some people want money. Some people just want to feel like they're a part of something. Some people just want that sense of joy and they want that sense of happiness. This industry is so full of opportunities to fill our desires. So we don't regulate what's going on in our lives. We're so driven by our desires that we have massive ups and then we have massive downs. But let's just look a little bit more in this industry about how this really feeds into a lot of our wants, which is basically money. So I want you to look at, these are just average sales in Colorado, about $750,000, right? So if you look at this average sale, if we have a commission of $22,000, an average of 30 to 4 hours per transaction, that means in our industry, in a transaction like this, we are making anywhere from $500 to $700 an hour. How many industries can you tell me that you make $500 to $700 an hour in sales like that? Hit, 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 hit all day long. That's all we do. It's a palpable thing. So when I'm looking at desire and what really drives us, I also look at another thing that really drives us, and that's our why. We hear this a lot. What's your why? Is your why big enough? Is your why strong enough to really get you across to where you need to be? Is your why what it needs to be? Your why is your devotion. Your why is why you get up out of bed in the morning. Your why is why you breathe. My why, my devotion is my family. Everybody's why is different. But guys, this is where I think we have it all wrong in our real estate industry. And I really want you to hear me when I say this. I actually think everybody on this call knows exactly what our want is and what our why is. I think we're actually very, very clear about those two things. What we don't know is how. How? Okay, I know what I want. I want to make a lot of money. I want to be accepted. I want to be acknowledged. I want to be at the top of my game. I've got my devotion. It's my family. It's my people. It's whatever it is that's really the devotion that I literally go to bed with and I wake up with. How the heck do I do it? How do I do it? And I will tell you right now, when you allow your want and your emotion to drive it, but you don't know how, this is when you crash and burn. This is it. This is the missing gap in our industry, my friends. This is it. Mike Matkin might have really experienced a lot of this recently. This is our gap. This is what we're missing. Because I've got to tell you, this is the problem with what we're doing right now. I want you to look at the number and hours of education required in Colorado. This blows my mind. This is how much our industry really supports our how, which is not at all. Number of hours to actually get into the real estate industry in Colorado is 168 hours. Number of hours to become a dog groomer, 360. Number of hours to become a barber is 1,500 hours. So you're telling me that we have the lowest entry level of any industry, probably in the United States, but we also have the highest income attainability as well. So who do you think that this actually attracts in our industry? This attracts everybody in our industry, every single person, because everybody has a natural desire, generally for money. So when they see, oh, wait, okay, so I have no ceiling on the amount of money I can make, and I only need a base, I will tell you it's even less than that in North Carolina, a base amount of 160 hours to actually come in and start working. Okay, then that's all of us. But then this is the one thing that they don't tell us when we're in real estate, right? They don't actually tell us. Okay, so before you get your real estate license, I really want you to regulate your dopamine hits. I think it's going to be really important because we realize that you have a very strong desire and you have a devotion, but we're not going to teach you how to do it, but we just need to really make sure that you do, that you go ahead and you really regulate those, because if you don't, you're going to explode. And you're going to leave the business like 87% of agents do in the first 3 years. And you're probably not going to succeed. This is the problem. So before you do anything at all, guys, what I really, really want you to do is I want you to be very clear and concise about what your desire is. I want you to be clear and concise about what your why is. But more so, I need you to really dig in deep into how you want to succeed. Because it's the discipline. It's the discipline that drives. I'm going to pick on Austin a little bit. Austin is the most disciplined realtor I've ever met in my life. He has the how down pat. The how is down pat. Devotion is strong for him. Desire is strong for him, but it's because of not 1 and 2, but it's because of 3 that makes him one of the most successful leaders in our company, in our country. I'm going to brag on you for a minute. Chevron team just came in at number 7 in EXP in the country. That's unbelievable. And it's because of their discipline. That's massive. That is massive. I will tell you all, if you actually dive down into your discipline, you're going to be the top 1%, not in your city, not in your state, but in the country. There's no question about it. Okay, so what's the grill in the room right now, guys? It's the NAR lawsuit. That's what everybody's talking about. People I've not talked to in months are coming to me and talking to me about the NAR lawsuit. So change is coming. We know this already. We know for a fact that change is coming. It's going to disrupt our entire industry. But it's interesting to me because change doesn't mean that we're deficient. And I think a lot of people take change, and because they're not regulated at all, because they're only driven by their desire, they're only driven by their devotion, and they have no discipline in place, people are freaking out about the NAR lawsuit. And when I say that, I mean people in our industry. But change is not saying that we're deficient. Change is actually the ultimate realization of our power. And I'm going to say that again. Change is the ultimate realization of our power. This is an opportunity, my friends. This is your opportunity right now to create your own narrative. This is the opportunity to regulate your roller coaster. This is the opportunity to implement your discipline. This is what's going to happen. Now is the time. Now is the time to become an expert in your how. And this is what I really want to dive in with the time that we have left. Because we're going to see a massive shift in our industry, in my opinion, in July, like we haven't even seen since 2006 and 2007. And a lot of you weren't even in our market at that time. And I will tell you that such a huge number of people left our industry. And I don't want you to be one of those people. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to defy your high standards. I want you to be extremely clear and concise about who your ideal clients are. And I want you to create a personal brand that emulates who you are. I want to dive into high standards first. Literally, only high performance individuals plan everything. They don't plan their day, they don't plan their week, they don't plan their month, they plan their year. But at the very least, I want you to at least plan your week. You must take time every single week to plan. I used to do it on a Sunday and it didn't work for me because it stressed me out throughout the entire weekend. So now I take Friday, I take at least an hour every single Friday and I plan my week. When I get really good, I'll plan my year. We're working on that. But high performance individuals plan their entire year. Health optimization. Health optimization, outside of putting those time limits on the amount of social media that you're wasting your time on, is going to shift and transform your life and your business today. So 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Y'all don't tell me that you don't need it, because you do. Your body needs 7 to 8 hours a night. You are high performance individuals. You are asking a huge amount of your body, of your brain. They need sleep, supplements. You all don't need to go to a nutritionist. You don't need to get your blood drawn. When you're really serious, you should do that with 10X. But in the meantime, just choose 1 or 2 supplements that you can add to your daily diet. Start with B12, start with vitamin C, start with glucosamine, start putting supplements back into your body. I think that that's really, really important. Exercise. I want you to exercise at least 3 times a week. Exercise builds more mitochondria in your body. Mitochondria in your body are your cells, the cells that actually create energy. So the more that you exercise, the more oxygen you take in, the more oxygen builds the mitochondria. When you build the mitochondria, it increases your energy. You cannot be at the very top of your game unless you do these things. And you didn't just hear me say, could you please go and buy some more leads? Can you please go and jump in and do more additional things to build your business? You need to start with yourself before you start with anything else. This is a fact. So go and choose at least 1 supplement if you haven't already, and really start implementing it into your business. Hydration. I drink a gallon of water, so I drink 4 of these every single day. Hydration is the quickest way to shift your health and to really flush out a lot of the toxins that are in your body. Because when you start exercising at least 3 times a week, when you start getting your sleep, when you start adding your supplements, you need to actually flush the toxins out of your body. And y'all, stop eating gross food. You know, when you eat junk, you feel like junk. Like, just stop doing it. Doesn't mean you can't have little things here and there. We all need our dopamine hits, right? We all need the cookie sometimes, or the cake, or whatever. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But at least to a certain extent, look at what you're putting in your body, because what you put in your body is how you feel. There's no doubt about it. Mental clarity is super important. So journaling is scientifically proven that when you journal, when you brain dump into a journal at least 10 minutes a day, you didn't hear me say an hour a day, 10 minutes a day, this is the very best way to track your mindset, to track your habits, to track your well-being. Mental clarity, just brain dump. Doesn't have to be first thing in the morning when you're meditating with the candle on and the music all low. It doesn't need to be like that. You just got home from a long day of work. Just brain dump into something. That's the best way that you can see the habits and what's going on in your life. Emotional control. I know you all can think of somebody, an agent, somebody in your life personally who has zero emotional control, and they're not fun to be around. And you try to avoid them. The best thing that you can do is just be in charge of your emotions. Don't allow anger. Don't allow frustration. Don't allow jealousy. Don't allow that to control your life. Be focused. Be calm. Have a strong mindset. Have emotional control. I actually think out of all of these, that's the most difficult one for me, emotional control, because I'm quick. I'll go from 0 to 100 literally like that. I'll go back down to 0, but emotional control is tough. But it's extremely important for that mindset overall. Personal integrity. Listen, firstly, don't be a douchebag. It's pretty simple. Just don't. Don't be a douchebag. Also, when you say something, mean it. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Be that person that they know. If I say to you, Jordan, by the way, if I say to you something, or if you say something to me, I know that you mean it. If you say you're going to do something, I know you're going to do it. Nina, you know that you're the same, 100%. This is the biggest thing, daily reset button. I think we're really big about beating ourselves up at the end of the day. I didn't do this right. I didn't do this right. I wish I would have done this. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I didn't do this. But we're not very good at patting ourselves on the back. I spoke to a friend yesterday, and he had gone and he had spoken in front of some people, and he was very quick to say, God, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. But what he didn't share is, wow, I impacted this, and I shared this, and I did this really well. So the last 3 things I want you to do is, number 1, I want you to rejoice at the end of every single night, the things that you did well. I want you to celebrate yourself. I want you to release all the crap that did not go your way. I'm not saying just act like it didn't exist, because that's not being truthful to yourself. That's not being honest to yourself. But I want you to really, really do is just acknowledge it and release it. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you into the next day, guaranteed. The last thing I want you to do is just reset. This was a day. I'm done. And move on to the next day. Do not carry yesterday into today, because then you cannot go into tomorrow. Ideal client, we've talked a lot about ideal client, but I'm just going to go into this a little bit. Your ideal client, when you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to whom? Nobody. When you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. I want you all to take 5 or 10 minutes, and I want you to define exactly whom you want to work with. This is so simple, but yet there are so few realtors who actually do this. What? You mean I shouldn't just accept every single call that I get? I shouldn't accept every single lead that comes across my desk? I shouldn't work with every single buddy all the time? No, because that means that you're being driven by your desire and your devotion. I need you to be driven by your discipline. One way to ensure that your discipline is regulated is by ensuring that you know who your ideal client is. That is so incredibly important. And if you're like, I have no idea where to start, Chanel, just send me a message and I'll make sure there's just a little document you can run through. Do you want to work with buyers or sellers? Do you want to work in state or out of state? Do you want to work with investors? Do you want to work with first-time home buyers? Are you really into condos and townhouses, or do you want to work luxury? What type of cultural backgrounds do you want to work with? Do you want to work with people who are younger or people who are older? Like, you can have some fun with this. And this is you being your authentic self, working with those you really want to work with. You can choose the business that you want. Well, why should I listen to her? Some of you might be saying right now. Well, because I do very, very well in real estate, and I only work with people I want to work with because my time is valuable. And I know when I do that, I'm disciplined in my business. And I think that's really, really important. Brand is the last one of your how that I really want you to dive into and I want you to master. Your brand is your story. Your brand is your everything. Your brand is your first impression. Your brand is your calling card. And the reason I put ideal client first before I put brand, because when you realize who your ideal client is and who you really want to work with in this industry, then you build your brand around that. You build your brand around that. Because if I should have pulled up some examples that would just make you all laugh. If I'm working with a luxury agent, but I don't know by seeing their branding on social or otherwise that they're a luxury agent, that is a real problem. That is a real problem because that means they're also not attracting luxury clients. It's a great opportunity for me because I will tell you when people see my brand, they know that I'm a luxury agent and work with luxury clients, amongst others. But your branding is your calling card and it's your first impression. It emulates everything about you. So I want you to get off that roller coaster and I want you to start regulating your business and don't allow those dopamine hits that are so inherent in our business to decide what kind of business you're going to have. It's just not healthy. So I don't share this in the beginning, and there's a reason for that. And that is because I've done a lot in the short amount of time that I've been in real estate. And I'm proud of it, but I'm also not proud of it. So there's just a few things that I have done since I've been in business. And these were actually in the last 5 years that I've accomplished all this. And the reason that I'm not super proud about this is because doing all of this and being driven solely by my desire and my need, my constant need to get those next dopamine hits, to be acknowledged in a certain way, to feel that I'm worthy, to feel like I have enough to say to be in front of you incredible people today, is this. Because I didn't deal with my past trauma in life, none of us have had a perfect childhood. Because I've had a lot of bumps along the way, I was so driven by my desire to feel good that I didn't take the time to just step back and learn the discipline of how to manage and regulate my business. So I did all this, but this is what it cost me. It cost me burnout. It cost me massive frustration. And so because I didn't have all those regulations in place, I let anybody in the door join my team. Anybody could come in. It didn't matter. I didn't have a culture in place. I didn't have any sort of moral compass in place. I just needed to be acknowledged. Oh, you want to join my team? Okay, come on. Hit. Oh, sure, I'll work with you. Oh, sure, I'll do this. It was a lot. And because of that, I was working all the time, 7 days a week, my friends, 14, 15 hours a day. I literally have massive gaps of 3 years of my children's life. Couldn't tell you. My baby went from 7 to 10. Couldn't tell you a lot of things that happened during that time because I was so driven by my desire and so driven by my devotion. But because that discipline was missing, it cost me everything. So I share this with you that you can actually have an extremely successful business as long as you implement your discipline. It's extremely important. So I made a huge shift in the last 9 months. I got very clear about what my desires are, what my devotion is, but more so, what's my how? What are my systems in place? What are my processes? Who am I going to allow into my life? Who are my clients? What's my brand? What's my health optimization? And it is tough, right? I will tell you, as real estate agents, we have a very, very hard time putting ourselves first. And guess who pays for it? You, your family, your friends, everybody pays for it. But because I defined my desires, my devotion, and my discipline, I went from 2x to 10x. That's exactly what happened in my business. I aligned with the best coaching company in the country. That's what happened. I made choices. I completely let go 90% of my team, and I built from scratch. I'm working with people I absolutely love to work with. When I wake up every single morning, I feel completely at peace. And that's a place that I have not felt for a very, very long time. So this is what I want to leave you with. Ooh, we have some time afterward. Yay. You're truly the architect of your life. We are builders. That's what we are. Real estate agents are builders. You're the builder of your life. Do not allow other people to build it for you. When you allow the dopamine hits, the need for that next hit, the need for the next transaction, the need or the want to work with anybody, you're no longer the builder of your life. You're allowing somebody else to be the architect of your life. When things go wrong, please don't go with them. Things are going to go wrong. Right, Mackin? Things are going to go wrong. Don't go with it. It's a choice. It is an absolute choice. Remember what I said. Every single night, I want you to rejoice everything that comes in for you, but I also want you to release the things that did not go your way, and I want you to reset for the next day. You cannot have a big life. You can't have a big dream or a big life. You have to have a big dream and a big life. You cannot have small dreams and a small life. So what I really want you to focus on is having a big dream, because it doesn't fit into a small life. I want you to be really, really clear about that. It's so incredibly important. So I'd love to open it up for questions now, please. We don't need to see that. I'm here. Any questions or just open conversation? Let's talk about this, guys. This is real. This is a new concept for a lot of people. The idea and thought that we're driven by our dopamine hits is massive. And so once you decide and you realize that this is what happens for you, this is huge. So when you set up the how, which is a majority of you are here right now, this is what happens. Mr. Austin.
I like my dopamine hits, by the way. They make me happy. They make me feel good about myself. When did you realize that this is happening?
So it's when my bestie told me, Chanel, and it was so obvious to her. So it's when she said, you're a real estate agent. Of course, you're driven, you're addicted, you're driven by dopamine hits. But then I started looking at the trajectory of my life. I literally decided to scuba dive, learn in a pool, and jump into the water with my biggest fear. That is a massive dopamine hit. Jumping off a mountain is a massive dopamine hit. Being an actor is a dopamine hit. So I realized, because I had chosen not to deal with a lot of my past trauma that happened to me in childhood, that I continued to create these situations and be a part of industries and careers that would allow me the opportunity to feel good throughout. But when I hit that massive burnout, so when it wasn't just about me, it was about other people in my life too. So when it was about my 3 children, my forever husband, my friends, my family, when I realized that me not facing my truth was really impacting me, was massive. So that's when I found out. I do neurofeedback on a regular basis too. Rami.
I was just gonna say, when you talk about the dopamine hits and stuff, and Austin says that's his it's a positive thing for him. I'm looking at all this stuff now, even what I've got going on. It's almost like, fuck, this is stress.
Yes.
I don't care about a new client right now. like that's how I'm to that point where it's like, what is the true value of my worth, and where's my time really where should I really implement my time, and how should I exude my energy? Is it trying to chase these leads? Is it trying to, and I'm to the point now where that's not me. That's not my end goal and my ultimate desire. So, but yeah, so in the more focus is on the internal, and it's always the continuous internal growth.
It is.
And just being able to really dive deep and focus on your true calling, which is making some kind of difference, which has no monetary value, because it goes beyond the monetary value.
It does. And I really applaud you for being aware of the fact that you are allowing those dopamine hits to drive your life, because it is massively stressful. It is massively stressful. So really focusing on the discipline and regulation of your life, putting in that health optimization, planning all those things that we just talked about, the time of high standards is really going to help you with that. Corey.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Man, I felt like you were explaining my life today, in my journey. So anyway, I feel you. The last thing you said, could you expand on a big dream does not fit into a small life? What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. So that essentially for me has always meant, I think that I've always had issues of self-worth in my entire life, Corey. So I've always felt like I wasn't enough. And I always limited what I was willing and able to see in myself. Always, always, always. And so I realized that if I choose to live a small life, so if I choose to not think out of the box that I've put myself in, then a dream can't fit into the box that I've created around myself. Ever. It just doesn't exist. And so what I really ask of you all is to don't put a box around yourself at all. The scariest thing is success for us, not failure. That's it. I will tell you that we don't want, a lot of us don't want to succeed because it terrifies us. The fact of living the biggest life we can ever imagine, right? It's so much easier to think, you know what? I'm just going to live this life in this box and I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be fine. And so we almost shrivel up where nobody else can see us. But yet then we have these thoughts and these feelings inside of us that just come out and they just fill us all the way up. But then we start pushing ourselves down again. I'm telling you, it is easier to live a big life than it is to live a small life. It is so much easier to live a big life than a small life. You are expending so much energy. If I'm speaking to even one of you right now, you're expending so much energy right now trying to keep yourself in a small box. It is exhausting. So you take that 2x out, you push it away, and you live your 10x life today. It is so much easier, friends. I'm telling you because I'm doing it. Nina.
So one of the things that I think I came to realize in the idea of being the architect of your life, right, and pursuing these dreams and putting discipline in place and all of that is sometimes, and maybe we can relate to this, I don't know who else can, but removing ourselves from certain social situations that can cause us harm along the journey. And in doing so, it's amazing how much the whole mindset, the whole focus, everything else can change to help you align better with these goals and to get there. So I have to say, just not being in certain social situations as well can really help propel us in the right direction. So clearing out all the bad stuff, getting to where we need to be, putting on getting out of it and putting blinders up to it and ignoring that stuff that's out there so that we can really accomplish what it is that we want. And for me, man, like when Chanel and I started even coaching on one-on-one, you know, my goals were stuff like numbers, right? Like chasing numbers and different things. And now it's like, yep, I'm going to go on vacation for a month and that kind of thing. So, but like Riami was saying, getting that stress out and like, and also once I started shifting what my goals were and that sort of thing, I hate to say it, but business grew even more and everything grew even bigger.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nina, can you say that one more time? What happened?
It grew bigger and even more. I mean, like crazy. You know, when I stopped all that other stuff and my goals changed and it was about life and that discipline and those routines and everything like that. So, yeah, so I'm very grateful for all of this, like all of it.
Thank you. Well, I really applaud you because stepping away from social circles that we're comfortable with, comfort does not always equate health. So being comfortable with a group, knowing who's around us, even when they're unhealthy for us, it takes a huge amount of courage and strength to do that. So I applaud you for that, Nina. Austin, I think you had your hand up.
I talk enough already. I was just Nina, can we hear some examples for all of us of when you talk about social circles to remove ourselves? Like, can you tell us, maybe not personal, but what can we look for?
I think that we all we're in a very competitive environment, right? So we all want to kind of look at like, ooh, what is this person doing? What is that person doing? And a lot of it comes from social media, right? And we think that there's maybe more happening in their lives that isn't, or it's all glamour and there's no problems. And you are trying to measure yourself to some unrealistic ideals. And that's part of the social situation, right? Like there's that social media side of it. Then there's the interactions with these people. But then there's this side where, if you align yourself with people with small dreams and small goals, where are you going to grow? In their actions. And so you start to look around and say, wow, there's just a lot of negativity here, or they're not 10xing their life. Their dreams aren't big enough. Their actions aren't big enough. And it's like Chanel was saying, it might be comfortable because that's who you are in proximity to, or it's who you've always been with and that sort of thing, but it's not going to help you grow. And once you start to see that and say, no, this isn't the circle that I need to be in, this isn't healthy for me. First of all, let's start with healthy. And then second part being the business part. This isn't going to help me grow in the business. So I always start with, this is healthy for me emotionally, mentally, and physically. And then is this going to help me get to where I want to be? And like I said, my goals have changed and they're not just monetary. And so is this going to help me get to a healthier lifestyle where I can go on vacation with my family? But if those social circles aren't there, I'm out.
Agreed. I do agree. Nina, thank you. Chevron, as you're staring out the window, contemplating life.
It's me again. Hey guys. Hey. It's different not speaking every week. Thank you, Chanel. The two things to pick up on. Nina said when she focused on her life, her business grew.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody tries to get the business, but the life messes it up, and the life's more important than the business. So if you get the life stuff right and you take that vacation, it's amazing how much the business can grow. If your business isn't there, maybe just swap your focus for a little bit. You still got to work. Don't get me wrong. You still got to work. But maybe your focus is wrong. The second thing I want to say from my life's experience is I always seek to find people that were above me. And then when I got to them, what I realized is they were all messed up. They weren't good. It's really hard to find people that have, when we work on the 5 spheres,
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. Look for people that have at least 2 to 3 of those things, spheres moving. Because a lot of times what you find the people up top, what appears to be up top, they only have one thing going, and that might be their business. And that's why you were attracted to them. And then when you get to know them, it's a mess. It's a complete disaster. So find mentors, find the people to model that have multiple things going for them. Their family, their personal life, their financials, their business, their spiritual life. Seek more, but watch out for the booby traps when the people only have one, and then you look in their closet and it's a disaster.
It's true. And I want you all to remember that too, because just like Michael put in social media, it's not always beautiful sunsets and perfect steaks. Like there's a lot of hot mess express that they are not going to put on social media. And I want you all to remember that. Yes, sir, Mike.
First of all, thank you for an awesome presentation. Like, I'm inspired by you every time I hear you, just know that. And every time it's like you're always dropping stuff that it hits me right in the heart every time. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you, Mike.
One of the things I have to say is you have to allow life to put you in an uncomfortable spot, and you have to take advantage of that. If you don't recognize when it's time for you to reevaluate or move or shift or shut a door or whatever it is, you're not always going to do it on your own. Because I know I'm one of the people that I always thought I had all the answers. I knew all the right moves and everything. And we're foolish if we feel that way. So when you're put in positions that you have to rethink your life, your business, your family, whatever it is, act on that, because you're being put in that position, to me, for the right reason. So you have to be able to take advantage of those opportunities and really rethink everything that you spoke on, our what's, our whys, and our hows. And it's not easy, but you have to recognize when it's time to to rethink all that. So exactly what you said is great, but it's a timing thing too. It's not the timing that we think it should happen, or you realize one day that you wake up and you're like, I'm a total shit show. I have to figure this whole thing out. But when you get put in that position, when you know you feel it, you have to act on it. You have to get better. You have to know there's a better scenario, a better situation, a better mindset, and you have to take advantage of it, or you could miss that opportunity to actually improve yourself and those around you. So,
and this is coming from someone, you all, who literally just turned his entire world upside down. So, you don't grow when you're always succeeding. And so I completely agree with you, Mike, and I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
The only reason Mike's here right now, and this happened, the only reason Mike is actually here right now is because he asked for help. Not from me. I just happened to be in the room in which he was asking somebody else for help. I was a third party. Mike had no clue who I was because he was vulnerable and asked for help. I was there listening. I thought I shouldn't even have been there. So just remember that because he asked for help, he got a situation that had a conversation that led to another conversation that led to this and led to this and led to this. And one day people, if not today, people are going to look at Mike and say he's lucky. And the only reason Mike's here right now and all the stuff we've worked on is because Mike said, I need help. And that was the first day I met you, Mike. It was the day Mike said, I need help. And it probably wasn't even his first day he said that. So just remember that, everybody. As you watch his growth, his proximity happened because he asked for help.
Well, and I'll tell you all as we wrap this up, as you're looking, I really want you to take a very close look at your personal life and your business life. And I want you to really think about how much are you allowing your life to be driven by dopamine hits? And I think you'd be really surprised. I mean, I've literally been doing this since probably middle school, high school, truly. And it just kind of escalated as we went along the way. And I think that our industry in particular we're very driven by success is based on the number of transactions you sell or the number of volume that you do. There's so many other ways that we can measure success as well. And because of that, I think people really create very unhealthy lives for themselves. Doesn't mean you can't have both. I mean, there are a lot of agents on here who do have both. Absolutely. But I don't know that we always all start that way. So I really want you to look at how much of that is regulating your life, number one. Number two, how much of your life are you giving to social media every day, every week, every month, every year? And be very honest with yourself about that. If you're okay with giving a month and a half, 2 months of your life away every single year, then that's on you. But I wasn't. So I highly recommend that you look at that and you see what could you do with that month and a half or 2 months, whether it's grow your business, take care of yourself more, be a part of your family more. I think that that's really, really huge. And more so, health optimization out of everything is the quickest and easiest way to get started on a better and healthier path for yourself. So just going back through those items and thinking about what you can do, just drink more water, just eat a little bit better tomorrow than you did today, just a little bit, right? Add a supplement or two that's going to help you. Try to get better sleep. I do the 3-2-1 method that probably a lot of you know about already. So 3 hours before bed, I don't eat. 2 hours before bed, I don't work. And then 1 hour before bed, I try very hard not to look at my screens. I'm struggling with the last one. But the 3-2-1 method is extremely helpful too. And so it's these little things that absolutely are going to 10x your life. So your big life and your big dream align. That's the key. That's the key. Get yourself out of your box, my friends. Very much. Love you all. I appreciate you so, so much. And I really enjoyed my time with you. Please feel free to reach out to me with anything that you need. Appreciate you. Have a great week ahead.